Well, hello there, my dear viewer. How was I not made? How was I not meant to or going to make a little vidulous remus of this beautiful new bridge? There's a couple more over there, so we're going past Lakeshore, Torontopia, of course, CN Tower, Frozen Lake, Ontario. Very cool stuff. Oh, this is a brand new bridge. I just got released from jail and I'm reveling in my newfound freedom, as it were. And frankly, I've been feeling a bit down. And that's one of the reasons I pulled out the camera. This thing is my therapy. It really is my therapy, right? What is this? The dissimulation of thoughts and whatnot. Like, the whole thing being that we've all got so much inside of us, thoughts and emotions, and we don't really have a chance to express or communicate these thoughts. And nobody is going to listen to all of your rambling nonsense. I know this. Like, after putting up hundreds of YouTube videos and whatnot, and still having an ending amount to say. So yeah, I don't know if you can see in the distance, there's another little bridge, couple of these bridges over there. So they're diverting the road. This is going towards Cherry Beach. That's Lakeshore Boulevard over there. So this is usually the southernmost point. When you're coming from downtown, you come to the lake, right? And then you've got a couple of islands over here, Toronto Island. So my wife and I used to go for walks to Cherry Beach, or rather drives, and we take the dog and things like this. But this is beautiful, and I wanted to talk about these 5 things with a bonus 6th thing. Pew, pew. The 5 things being the things that I've learned in jail, which kept me happy in jail as such. I've told a lot of people, from my family to my wife to my lawyer and friends, and I talk about this thing in terms of jail being an amazing place for me personally. Like, it was really a godsend. They're doing a whole bunch of stuff out here. It's amazing. This is Toronto, like COVID, and there's construction everywhere. It hasn't stopped, right? There's more bridges over there. There's a couple of bridges over there, like these newfangled bridges, right? There's a couple. There's one here. There's a couple over there, and there's a couple over here. They're just continuing to expand and grow. Like, this is south of Little Walking Bridge over here, right? So it looks like they're making parks, and they might have condo developments and whatnot. So this is, again, south of downtown, and usually you wouldn't come out here. So aren't you lucky that you have a guided tour, a la courtesy of the rational Muslim, a rational Muslim. So I finally fixed my my blog URL, arationalmuslim.blogspot.com, right? And so again, you have all these things to say and talk about, and that's one of the reasons you want to get online and do stuff. You do stuff, you say stuff, or you sell stuff. You got to do something online. Like, we all need validation. We all need validation, which is to say that we all need to express ourselves. And again, no one's gonna listen to your unending rants and rambles, right? And whatever it is, right? So that's why this thing is very therapeutic. You go to anchor.fm, like Gary Vaynerchuk says, and you start a podcast, right? Anchor.fm /gangsta-talk-fm, right? That's all lowercase. Or Anchor, that's one of my podcasts, right? It's about La Cosa Nostra, Nos Amigos, Sicilianos, right? So I talk about the 5 families, and John Gotti and Joe Bonanno and Sam Giancana and people like that. And it's just something I like talking about, because I've researched and read and listened to dozens and scores of audiobooks over the years about this thing, and it's like, it's a very compelling thing. Mobster versus gangster. Gangster is get rich or die trying. Kill anyone and everything as long as I get mine. More or less. Mobster is different. Mobster is about the community. It's about the little guy, right? So Don Corleone in the Godfather movies. He's a benefactor for his community, just like the late and great John Gotti, rest in peace. And just like people like Carlo Gambino and Joe Bonanno. The reason these guys made it, so to speak, and were not whacked, although John Gotti, of course, served big time and died of cancer. After spending years in jail, right? And he was sold out by his blood family, his wife Victoria and his son Angelo, and his former underboss Sammy the Rat Gravano, who's still on YouTube making millions of dollars and getting millions of clicks. That guy threw him under the bus, right? And then, of course, there's things like this. But Carlo Gambino and Joe Bonanno, they both died age 90 in their knickers at home watching their favorite football and baseball team on TV, this kind of thing, New York Mets or whatever, and then the Arizona football team. Anyway, this is amazing. So the five things that I live and die by, and I swear by, and I want to write a book on, and I like talking about, right? Those things are as follows: reading, writing, exercising, praying, meditating, right? And when you're out of jail, exploring, right? So this is all exploration. Exploring / do something new. Now, going to jail for myself was part of my journey, going to jail, okay? Going to jail. So it's like, it's not good or bad. It's your journey. It's your life. It's not good or bad. It's like Don Juan says to Carlos Castaneda. Isn't this amazing? This is so beautiful. Like, I don't think I've ever been down this way before. We usually go to Cherry Beach and there was another road. I believe this may be it though. It's hard to say what's going on. But exploration, right? Exploration. Exploration / doing something new. Okay, so I go to jail because I am diagnosed bipolar, right? And I'm a normal guy. Like, I'm given to like some moodiness and getting lost in my thoughts, and like sometimes I appear distant and aloof and things like this, just like my dog Maximiliano, who absorbed this thing from me, because a dog absorbs your emotions. And when we got this puppy, I was living with my beautiful wife, Judith, Colombiana, Bogotana, pero no, Bucaramanga. My wife is from una ciudad en la montaña, cerca de la Cartagena y Santa Marta de la Rosa, right? So, so until the age of 46, more or less 2 years ago, law-abiding citizen, yeah, I suppose, but no criminal record, nothing like this. And so we were living together in this beautiful house in Calgary, rented from her pastor, this kind of thing. And this dog, Maximiliano, we got this puppy when he was just a couple of months old in 2019. And I was at home, working at home as a digital marketer, this kind of good stuff, right? And my wife was out and about. She's a hairstylist. She had a cleaning business, this kind of thing. And I really believe, in fact, I'm more or less positive, and it would appear to be the case, that this dog... Come on, what's the matter with you? What's the matter with you? So this dog absorbed my personality, right? Come on. Yo, the dog, like I was saying on this previous video, dear viewer, dog absorbs your emotions, your chemicals. So whatever you're feeling, right? The dog exists in a world. Yo, it's the ninja man. Hello. The dog exists in a world of smell and sound. The dog. Okay, so now all of your chemicals, like, life is like, little things are everything, and big things, everything is everything. Like, so again, like, I'm writing about success right now. Like, I have a bunch of writing and books that I'm in the process of formatting and putting on Kindle, things like this. And I suggest you do the same thing. You need to get online and do different things. I've tried all kinds of things, and I've drop shipped, I've sold on Amazon and eBay and all this kind of good stuff, and I've made money doing all these kinds of things. Affiliate marketing, I've made money affiliate marketing, which is one of the hardest things to do. Like, you've got links and you get people to buy stuff and things like this. Click on your links. And I've learned a lot as a marketer, as a former corporate marketer. I have to say that everything I learned about marketing, I learned from internet marketers and the internet, more or less. Just like everything I learned about business. I learned nothing about business in business school. Like, I went to university at the University of Bridgeport in the state of Connecticut. I was on a 4-year scholarship. So the plane is going to land at Porter Airport. There's a little business airport. And a lot of business flights coming and landing just outside of downtown here, just at the rim. But this is amazing, right? You come out into the great outdoors and you explore if you can. If you live in a city like Toronto, it's so easy. It's like, I tell people, you should really think about this thing. On our license plates out here on the cars, it says Ontario, yours to discover. And it really is an amazing province as far as I can tell. Like, we've driven here from Calgary, Alberta, from Western Canada, back and forth a couple of times, and you go through Northern Ontario, cottage country, and it's just like Northern Ontario is just like Northern California. It's exactly the same. It takes you like a day or two just to drive through there, and it's just like the wastelands and trees and things like this. So now, meditation, okay, and exploration are very similar. Okay, so I want to talk about these things. Going to jail, so I smoke weed. This was my problem. Like, I started smoking weed in university, and I thought to myself, there's nothing wrong with it. Intoxicants generally are forbidden in Islam. And then there's this fine line, which is, are you taking weed for medicinal purposes or what? And of course, I was taking it to get high. I call myself an addict for this reason, right? I mean, I don't know whether or not you call it a disease, but I started writing a bunch of notes and more or less pages and pages about this whole thing. Like, the pandemic started, I started acting manic and smoking weed and acting crazy. I had time on my hands. The dog, I'd been living with the dog at home this whole time, Maximiliano. If you just click back, you can see him on a couple of these videos. He's like in a very sensitive state of mind right now because he's been living with my wife. I'm sorry to talk about your business, sweetie, if you watch this, but the dog absorbs your personality. And right now, the dog, like, I was playing the guitar, and like, I have a song like based on Polly by Nirvana. Instead of Polly, it's Maximiliano. Polly wants a cracker, Maximiliano, right? So another Porter plane. Anyway, I urge you to do these things. I'm going to tell you what, I want to write a book about these things. Like, there's a book called Eat, Pray, Love. This is just silly nonsense as far as I'm concerned. Like, I'm sorry, I haven't read this book, and I hero worship the lady by virtue of the fact that she succeeded and they made a movie and Julia Roberts is in the movie and all this stuff. But either I read or I'm given to understand, I did read that she basically says 10 minutes, okay? She says, you meditate for 10 minutes. Now, I'm going to elaborate on this by saying 10 minutes is what it takes for your thoughts to settle down, your day-to-day thoughts. So now, that's what happens when you come out into the great unknown, the great outdoors, right? So what we are missing in our modern, hectic, and busy lives is solitude. Okay, solitude. Solitude is very important. I say solitude is very important because it is very important. And someone asked Prophet Muhammad prior to him announcing his prophethood, when he was like in his teens or something, he went with his uncle Abu Talib on a caravan, like this trade journey to Syria from Mecca, from Arabia, Hijaz, from Arabian Peninsula, caravan routes going all the way out to China and going to like this place like Syria, Sham. Now, he has a famous saying, of course, seek knowledge even if you have to travel to China to seek it, this kind of thing. So now, I might as well just say on a side note, this is one of the things that is different about Muslims vis-a-vis Christians. Okay, I love Christians, my wife is a Christian. One of the things with going to jail is that I started reading the Bible, and a lot of Christian reading materials that would show up there, like these people, Ernie and Sheila Hollins. I gotta talk about Ernie and Sheila Hollins. There's many people that have gone through the correctional system here, incarcerated and such, right? Like people that have become reformed citizens, okay? So they find God in jail. I dare say I found God in jail. I dare say I found God in jail, and part of this was reading the Bible, and part of it was reading about people like Ernie Hollins and Jimmy Kavanagh and guys like this, like hardcore guys 10, 20, 30 years ago, like coming through the Canadian detention system, the Canadian prison system. Like, I have spent maybe a year or 14 months in jail, totalmente, over a span of 10 years. Like, I'm the guy who swears by experience, as in, to me, life is about experience. It's not about happiness, it's not about success, really, although I'm writing about success. It's about learning and experience, right? Imam Ali said the best experience is that which you learn from, and that's what that is, right? But just experience in general. And now you've got these guys, hardcore guys like Ernie Hollins and Jimmy Kavanagh. You see these little booklets in prison, and these guys, like they've shot at police officers and they've robbed, and like, I don't know if there was anyone who was a murderer that I read about, but over the years I've read a bunch of stories by people like this, and they find God. I mean, it's the case that they find Christ and become Christians and things like this. But what I've understood is, like, one of my main messages under this new title, like A Rational Muslim, like forever I've wanted to talk about Islam. And the key and core message I want to give you is that while the Quran does say that inna deena indallahi al-Islam, like the religion close to God is Islam, it also says if you come on the day of judgment with a religion other than Islam, it won't be accepted from you, things like this. However, everything is contextual, because Allah also says, God, as we believe him, Porter Plane, doo, 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 doo. Yo, how are you gonna get like some guy doing shots like this just for your entertainment, dear user and abuser? It's 20 minutes, but I gotta tell you, I'm feeling much better. I'm telling you what, like, I was feeling down today, and just making this video, I'm feeling so much better. This is what I'm talking about. So these 5 things: read, write, pray/meditate. Let's just put it this way. And like, I like to keep things secular. I know my handle is A Rational Muslim, but I'm not saying become a Muslim. I'm saying become you. It's like my buddy, my Christian friend, who makes me embarrassed to call myself a Muslim or anything approaching godly or holy. Blake Henstridge, the third cousin of a lady called Natasha Henstridge, the lady from the movie Species. Isn't this great? So this is Cherry Beach right here. And it looks like it is the same road that we used to come down. They've just kind of switched things up and made bridges and things like this. Hello. So now, Blake Henstridge I met in jail, of course, Toronto South Detention Centre. And Blake is the guy who famously said to me when I cornered him on the range. So they let you out of your cells and you go onto the range. Oh, Canada. It is the best country in the world, right? And we might come to that later, we may not. So yeah, Cherry Beach, winter time. I was planning on spending the whole winter in jail because I wasn't in the right state of mind. Like, I was manic. I spent the whole of 2022 and 2021 smoking weed. And 2021, I was like on the street for most of this, or a lot of it. Most of it I was on the street, more or less. Like 6 months at least, hardcore in Vancouver, and then living under a bridge here in Toronto, sleeping on park benches, sleeping on the grass, sleeping in a stairwell, sleeping on the back of a goddamn streetcar, right? This kind of stuff. And it's a hard life. And part of this was that my wife kicked me out the house because I was acting crazy again. And she told me many times over the years, and she's given me so many passes, and she's told me repeatedly, this is like the most amazing and gorgeous thing ever. It's like frozen. The lake's frozen. There's like a goddamn tent out in the middle of there. I want to go and check this thing out. There's a tent there. It looks like a tent. I don't want to walk on this thing. I don't want to fall into the lake. I mean, I should speak positive. I mean, you learn all these things. One of the things you learn, I swear to you, I found a book in jail called by a guy called Budd, B-U-D-D, Bravo Umbrella Delta Delta, Michael Budd, Dr. Michael Budd. You are what you say. It's a great book. The only problem with this book is it's very expensive. It's like $30-40 on Amazon, right? I thought I could get a used copy for like 12 or 15 bucks. Maybe one day I'll invest in it, because it is an amazing book. It really goes into the whole Zen Buddhism and beginner's mindset, and like, Eastern traditions and all this kind of approach, like this whole approach. And then he's a neuroscientist or a psychologist or some kind of physician or something. This is amazing, right? So my goal here is not to clamber onto this pier. Like, this is what you do. This is what I do. I love doing this stuff, which is the exploration. Okay, so I'm rambling, going in circles. So now these guys find God. And my wife is Christian. And I'm a Muslim. And just like hanging out with atheists on Twitter, and like, I've got a great Russian friend called Denis Mikhailov. I worked with him as a security guard while I was building my digital marketing agency. I worked as a security guard for 7 years, right? And then this guy was like one of the most intelligent people I've ever met in my life. And we had some we blogged back and forth, right? In terms of, atheism versus monotheism. And he used to call the whole thing bogus bullshit. But just interacting with atheists has informed how I approach my religion and my faith. And they're absolutely right. It's not even 99%, but more or less 99.9999% of what atheists say and ask is valid. Like, the main one being, there are about 1 million religions, at least 1,000, 10,000 definitive religions with cultures and books and people and heroes and fables and stories that you can study. And all of these religions say that we are the right religion and everyone else goes to hell, or they don't count, or they're bad, us and them, this kind of thing. So again, the Quran does say that Islam is the religion, but it doesn't say kill everyone and all this kind of stuff. All right, if you just turn to the back of the book, you'll find one of the shortest chapters if you want to know what Islam says about unbelievers. قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا الْكَافِرُونَ. First of all, kufr, like, it doesn't mean unbeliever. Like, unbeliever, like the whole word, like everyone believes. This is the whole thing. Like, everyone believes in something. Everyone believes. Like, you get up and there's something compelling you to do things. Like, you believe in something. Like, you believe if you work hard, you're going to get a just reward and things like this. I mean, this whole question of what is faith, right? With all due respect to Sam Harris talks about the end of faith, right? And someone asked our sixth Imam, peace be upon him, the great grandson of Prophet Muhammad, Porter Plain. I'm always wary of the sound, right? There is sound dampening on the Chromebook and on this iPhone, I believe. But one of the worst things is when you're making this video and then you go back and you watch it later and the audio is all whacked out. Like, I've always prided myself on shooting a nice and interesting video as well as just rambling. Like, I gotta say, I'm very grateful that a lot of people have listened to my rambles and rants regardless. But isn't it nice to have some kind of exploration like this? This is amazing. Like, there's some kind of like tent or some kind of like parasail or something on the lake out there. I wouldn't advise that you clamber out there onto the ice ever. Like, I'm a ex-security guard, and safety doesn't come first, precaution comes first. And it's like the paranoid survive, this kind of thing. Precaution trumps safety. Okay, this is what I've always said. Anyway, I told you I'd take you onto this pier, and that's what we're gonna do, my dear. Isn't this great? So, exploration. So now, I just want to wrap up what I'm doing, and I've got 4 minutes left. So now, because I'm trying to keep these under half an hour. Like, under half an hour, I think is reasonable. I've rambled on for like an hour or two. I had an S20 recently, Android phone, which I lost because I was manic, and I just give my stuff away and lose it. Like, everything. Yo, I've given all kinds of stuff away. I've given a car away, like in college, when I was smoking weed and manic out there. And let me just say that it's the bipolar medication they gave me that really screwed me up, and it turned me into a suicidal and depressed and, you know, hellishly anxious person, right? This thing called lithium. Like their Nirvana song. Yo, inbound, low plane over there. So be very careful. If you come out here, don't you dare ever go onto the ice here, because this is ridiculous. There's something out there, and it's a bother for someone like me, because, like, what if some kid or something tries to go out there and check it out? Yo, this is Canada, and it's great that there's very few disastrous kind of situations like this that occur. Anyway, I'm rambling, and I want to wrap this up. All these guys went to jail. They found God. I went to jail. I believe I found God, okay? I read all these amazing books, met all these amazing people, but the main thing that you do in jail is you come face to face with your thoughts and your feelings. When you, quote unquote, when you stare into the abyss long enough, the abyss stares back into you. This is called finding God as far as this guy is concerned. Now, GOD, get off drugs. This is also part of it. So no more weed and no more medication for me. Just these 5 things that I swear by, right? Exercise, reading, writing, okay? Prayer and meditation. Prayer is, I usually say prayer / meditation, okay? This kind of thing. And writing / art. That's really that. And then the 6th thing is exploration. And so, 60 Man was asked about faith. And he said something like this: faith is that feeling that compels you to continue to act when there are no chances of success. This kind of thing. Like, he asked the guy, have you ever been on a ship at sea that is basically about to be destroyed, and flood and waves and people getting thrown overboard, and you know that death is imminent, like, you know you're gonna die? The guy's like, yeah. And he said, but still there was part of you that went on and you felt compelled to try and save yourself. The guy's like, yeah. That's what faith is, said our holy Imam. Anyway, I'm gonna sign out. I could go on. I will go on in future videos. I appreciate your comments. Okay, this is Torontopia, Cherry Beach, signing out. Okay, call your mom, be nice, do good things, and good things will happen.